हाँ यस शिवा, अभी तुम्हारा सेशन लाइव हो गया है। ओके, यस, ऑल
Okay.
द बेस्ट।
Okay. Yeah. Okay. A very good evening to the boys and girls of ISRO Magica. And I hope I'm clearly audible to you all. Yes, if I'm clearly audible and if I'm clearly visible, please reply with a thumbs up in the chat box if possible. Okay. I hope you all are doing well. Yeah. So today we have gathered on a special stage to discuss something. More than discussion, I can say to celebrate something. Yeah. So we are going to celebrate a huge achievement from the scientists of the India. Yeah. So we are here, we gathered here, and definitely we will learn many new things here, and we will know how exactly ISRO have successfully deployed a particular payload into a particular designation. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, if I'm perfectly audible and if I'm perfectly visible to you, please reply with the thumbs up in the chat box. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so before that, it's not a matter of more than days. Okay, 2 days back, we got to know that we have witnessed that ISRO have successfully launched a particular mission into the space. Yeah, and we proved that we are not. We proved that we are also capable of launching particular missions at which we faced some challenges before. Yeah. So now we will look into a particular mission, okay, which was launched on the 2nd November at 5 p.m. almost from the Sriharikota space station. Okay. So let me share my screen and present the PPT. Okay. Yeah. I hope my screen is visible to you all. And yeah, today we gathered here to learn about the ISRO's Bahubali launch. Yeah. From the name itself, you can know that the Bahubali mission. Yeah. The powerful mission. Yeah. So ISRO having some kind of powerful rockets. Yeah. From, in its home station and which is useful for launching particular payloads. Yeah. So in such a way, recently, on the 2nd of November, ISRO have successfully launched a satellite called CMS. Okay, so now in this session, we'll be learning about that. Yes, and I hope you all are excited. I'm here to share something, a very interesting facts about that mission. Okay, and very much in detail about the satellite that is going to be applied in the Indian, current army and navy situations. And apart from that, it is also useful for some kind of other purposes. Okay, so now we will be learning about that. Yeah, so just watch a video, okay, of the beautiful station from where it was exactly launched. Yeah. So this is a very beautiful drone shot of the launch station or before the rocket was launched on that particular day. Yeah. And this particular thing, a very beautiful mission in the white. Okay. Cleared the sky and it have reached a particular designation. And then we will be looking to it. Yes. Okay. So let me just give you a brief, like what we are going to learn in this particular few minutes. Okay, we are going to learn about the CMS. Okay, what exactly this mission is about. I mean, the satellite and the mission. And we are going to learn about the LVM3 Bahubali. Okay, the mission, I mean, the vehicle which is used to carry this particular payload. And we are going to see how this process happened from the liftoff to the orbit. And then we'll be looking in detail about the satellite and its applications and how it is impacting the Indian seas. Okay, yeah. So let me start with the CMS. And before that, I hope you all know what exactly a satellite is, what exactly a rocket is. Okay, but let me just give you a a small brief about what they are. Okay, we know that a rocket is a vehicle. Yeah, we all have vehicles. Okay, when I say vehicle, what comes to your mind? Your school bus is a vehicle which carries you from the home to the school. Yeah, a car or a bus or a train or an aeroplane, everything is a vehicle. Okay, which will be useful to carry you from one position to other position. Okay, and we change the vehicles, we change the modes of transport according to the ease. Okay, if you want to travel a low distance, you can choose a bike or a car. Yeah, and if you want to travel a little longer distance, you can go by the train, and more distance you can go by the air. Okay, yeah, like so we will be changing the mode of the transport. But now in this case we need to travel a lot of distance, and it is not possible by any vehicle that is on the ground. Okay, that we will be using on the ground. With that vehicles, it is not it's not possible. Okay, so now what we have to do? We have to carry something from the ground, okay, from the earth to the space. Okay, so in this condition, no bus, no car, no aeroplane, no train, no ship will be working. So we need a special vehicle which can carry the payload from the earth to the space. Okay, so in such condition, we have prepared a vehicle. Okay, we have manufactured a vehicle that is called as rocket. Okay, so this rocket will be carrying that particular thing from the Earth to the space. Okay, so now we'll be looking in detail like how it will be working and how it is helping the payload to move from the ground to the space. Okay, and in such case, it is not only one rocket. We are having multiple rockets at ISRO. Okay, different type of rockets. Like so, you have if you look into a particular car. Okay, we do have different type of cars. Okay, like so we are having multiple vehicles like multiple rockets at the ISRO. Yeah. And before that, let's look into the CMS3. What is the Mission 3? CMS3. Okay. So Mission CMS3, it is the name of a communication satellite. Okay. So in this case, you need to know what exactly satellites are. Okay. In just a brief, like satellites are the objects that orbit around a larger object. And we have two types of satellites. One is the natural satellite and one is the artificial satellite. Yeah. So the natural satellites which are already naturally made, okay, without the help of any human effort. But artificial satellites are the satellites which are artificially made by the human beings for a particular purpose. Okay, so whatever the satellites that we are carrying from the ground to the space will comes under the artificial satellite. Okay, so these artificial satellites again will be carried by the launch vehicles like the rockets. Okay, they are the vehicles basically. So in such case, if you look into the artificial satellites, there are multiple artificial satellites for multiple applications. We have observation satellites, we have communication satellites, okay, and we have defense satellites for military purpose, okay, and like so there are multiple satellites that we have, okay. So there is again one special thing about in this kind of classification of the satellites, okay, and accordingly for particular satellites we will be using particular vehicles. So you need to know about that, okay. So if we look into the rockets at the ISRO, we have different type of rockets like SSLV, starting with SSLV, SLV, ASLV, PSLV, GSLV. Okay, so this LVM comes under actually the category of GSLV. Okay, so if we need to carry the payload, okay, to a lower height, okay, again it comes to the orbits. Okay, we have a Earth, okay, from the sea level. Okay, we will be counting the distance. Okay, so if you want to keep a payload from the sea level to a particular low Earth orbit, okay, we will be mostly using PSLV or polar orbit or a low Earth orbit, we will be using PSLVs. Okay, and if you want to carry to a geosynchronous orbit or a geostationary orbit, which is quite far away, okay, which is very high in height. It is around, 35,000 to 36,000 kilometer in height. Okay, so if you want to keep it that much of height, you will be using big rockets, heavy rockets. Yes, obviously, for shorter distance, we'll use small vehicles. For longer distance, we'll be using larger vehicles. Okay, like so the shorter vehicles are the PSLV and the longer vehicles are the GSLV. Okay, yeah. But again, there is a limit. Okay, for shorter distance, we can carry heavy objects. Okay, if you want to keep a payload in low Earth orbit, okay, very short distance, you can carry heavy weight of even 8,000 payload, 8,000 kg payload. Okay, so PSLV is capable of carrying around 8,000 payload into, you can put, I mean, into the low Earth orbit. Okay, but in case of putting into the higher orbits, okay, we cannot carry that much big. We can carry only up to 4,000 kg. Okay, not more than that. That's the limit. Okay, so for that particular thing, again, GSLV will be used for carrying this heavy weight, I mean heavy work. Okay, yeah, and mostly the communication satellites are carried to the higher heights. Okay, if we are having any observation satellites. Okay, so these observation satellites don't require to be placed at very higher heights. Okay, and there is remote sensing and weather forecasting satellites. Okay, they will be almost in the lower orbit only. They will not be reaching to the higher heights. They will be in the lower orbit only. Okay, but these communication satellites need to reach to very higher heights. They need to be very longer from the sea level. Okay, so in that case, we need to carry to larger orbits. I mean longer orbits. Yes. So for that purpose, we'll be using the GSL. Okay, the geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle. Okay, so whatever that we have used now, LVM3, okay, and M5, okay, that is a mission 5. Okay, LVM3 is a launch vehicle. So this is going to put this particular beautiful satellite into the space. But can you see the weight here? It is around 4,400 kg. Yeah, but the limit was only up to 4,000. Okay, so but how we have achieved that? Yeah, that is a milestone that we have achieved in this particular mission. And we proved that ISRO can also do, ISRO can also challenge the things. Yes, yeah. And we have successfully did it and we have successfully completed the challenge. Yeah. So this particular satellite will be working for almost 15 years. Okay. It will serve our country for particular 15 years. Yeah. Now looking into the satellite, sorry, the rocket. Yeah. As told, it is called as the Bahubali rocket. Okay, it is named after the Bahubali. It indicates the power. Okay, it can have that kind of power that it can carry that much of big rocket, and because this is the first time we are carrying that much big payload into the GTO. Okay, the geostationary transfer orbit. Yes, and if you look into this particular rocket, it is having different parts. Yes, and this particular rocket is also used for different kind of missions previously and which are successful. Okay, like so we have also launched Chandrayaan 3 from this, and we have using GSLV Mark 2 for Chandrayaan 2, and GSAT 19, GSAT 29 was also launched from this GSLV rockets only. Okay, but now it is called as LVM. Okay, almost it is same. GSLV LVM is it's same, but here it is because the GSLV LVM is modified here. Okay, it is modified in such a way that it can carry higher loads. I mean high weight. Okay, the extra weight it can also carry. Okay, so how we performed it and how we achieved that. So we will look in the further steps. Okay, and the one more thing that you want to know is that So previously to carry these type of weights, heavier weights, okay, we used to rely on the other countries, like the other countries like, SpaceX and French, organizations. We used to rely on them. Okay, they used to help us in carrying these kind of heavy weights to the space. But now ISRO indigenously, okay, without taking any help from any other country. Yes, ISRO scientists have proven that they can also do this without any help. Yes, they did it and they successfully launched it and everything is successful. Yeah, so this is a great achievement that we have shown that India's Atma Nirbhar, okay, that means the self-reliant, okay, space capabilities. Yeah, so this was really achieved and it is the first time like we have carried this much of heavy weight into the space with no help from other countries. Okay, it was completely indigenous. Okay, yeah. And now let's look into the different parts of this rocket and how it will be working. Okay, I think so most of you have already studied about this. Okay, I know that you are very curious. Okay, you have different sources in your hand and you will be looking to that sources and you will be learning that. That's completely fine. Okay, but now we will be looking, in an organized way how these things work. Okay, so when you see this rocket, okay, it is a complete part. Okay, yes, you can see a hanging part, complete part there, full part. Yeah, like so our body is having different parts. Okay, we have legs, we have hands, we have a head. Inside that head, there's a brain. Okay, there's a heart in the chest. Okay, like so, the rocket is also having different parts. Okay, but the thing is that completing, that particular task of that particular, part, it will be leaving it. Yes, but in our body, we don't leave the parts, right? Yeah, after completing the task of our hands, we don't leave our hands. Yeah, but rocket will do that, and we will also see why it will be doing that. Okay, so now coming into the first stage. Yes, so the first stage is mainly the ignition. Okay, first, second, and third. So the both are three are ignitions. Can you see this two pillar-like things, the white color where India and ISRO is written? Okay, so these particular things. Okay, this particular element. Okay, this is a tank. Okay, it's a fuel tank mostly. Okay, so it is called as the S200 booster. Okay, its name is S200 booster. Okay, and we have two S200 boosters on the both sides of the other part. Okay, you can see here we have one S200 booster here and the other S200 booster here. So they are basically the solid propellant boosters. Okay, there are like two massive solid propellant boosters. Okay, they provide the initial thrust because when you see a rocket, okay, if you want to launch a rocket into the space, okay, it will be starting from the Earth's surface, okay, from the sea level almost. Okay, so at that time, what happens is that when it is launching from the surface of the Earth, it need to go through the thick layers of the atmosphere. Okay, and at that time, it require much more thrust, much more lift to go through that. But once you go into the space, at that time you don't need much more, lift and thrust because it is easy to move through. There is no drag and friction up when you enter into the space. But when you are in the Earth's atmosphere, okay, you need some extra force. Okay, so that's why they will be using these solid boosters first, which will be giving you the enormous thrust. Okay, and our rocket is not only a small thing. Okay, it is weighing around 640 tons. Yes, so it's like not 640 kgs, it's 640 tons, and 1 ton is almost equal to 1000 kg. Yeah, it is almost 6 lakh 40,000 kgs. So you need to lift a weight of 6 lakh 40,000 kgs using a chemical reaction. So just imagine how the engineering is, inbuilt there. Yes, it's called the rocket science. Yeah, so we are going to burn that fuel, and that fuel is going to produce the thrust based on the Newton's third law, and it will be giving the enormous thrust okay, in the starting, and it will be pushing itself into the highest skies. Okay, so this is how it will be starting. Okay, we'll be producing enormous thrust. This will be almost equal to 640 ton thrust. Okay, so then if you look into the fuel type also, we will be using HTPB. Okay, which is hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. Okay, it is the name of the fuel. Okay, it generally looks like a rubber substance. Okay, and it is very powerful. Okay, and it is in solid stage almost. So that's why it is called as a solid fuel. Okay, yeah, and next we go into the second stage. Okay, can you see this one here before going into the second stage? The main middle part here, this one, the middle part where LVM3-M5 is written. Okay, so this is this part. Okay, the middle one. So this is the LVM that part. Okay, the middle one. So it is the liquid stage. Okay, it is named as L110 liquid stage, where one complete fuel tank will be there, and for that fuel tank there will be two Vikas engines. Okay, one tank and two engines will be there. Okay, once the rocket uh, starts from the ground, it will be starting with the solid, and once it enter into a particular height, okay, once the solid boosters are done, okay, the fuel inside that solid booster is done. What it will do, it will leave that. Okay, the two things will be separated and they will be fall into the water bodies. Okay, and then we will be starting the next engine. Okay, and you might be thinking like, why we need to leave it? Because it's a dead weight. Okay, so there is no use of that. Okay, yeah, so that way we will trim it off. Like so, we have our nails, fingernails, and hair, which will be trimming out because there is no use of that almost. Okay, so we'll be trimming it out to just release that extra weight, and it will be more efficient for the rocket to move because more the weight, it will be more risky for that. Okay, so in such a case, we'll be using the starting with the liquid propellant here. Okay, the liquid fuel. Okay, and the engines for that are the Vikas engines, and that is also completely indigenously developed by the ISRO. Okay, the Indian Space Research Organization. Yeah, and if you look into the fuel, okay, what kind of fuel? The main exact fuel is used as the UDMH and N2O4. Okay, which is unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine. Okay, UDMH, and with that, along with that, you can be using the nitrogen tetroxide. Okay, one is the fuel and one is the oxidizer. Okay, and you might be thinking why we are using two things here. Okay, because it almost after going into 100 kilometers of the height, okay, there you will not get any atmospheric air to get the oxygen. So you need to carry your own oxygen to combust something, to burn something, because combustion occurs only in the presence of the oxygen. So in the space, we don't have any oxygen, so we'll be carrying this particular oxidizers also with that. Okay, and this liquid fuels are hypergolic. That means they will ignite very fastly. With small spark they can ignite. Okay, they are very powerful. Okay, you just give some small temperature to it, like a temperature rise to it, it will ignite. Okay, they will ignite very fastly. Okay, so they are very powerful too. Okay, but not as much of thrust will be produced as the solid will be producing. Solid will be producing very high thrust. In liquid, a little low thrust. Okay, and I hope this thing is clear to you. Yeah, and looking into the third stage, a very important stage, the cryogenic stage. Okay, so again, if you compare this one, okay, this is the first stage. Okay, I hope you can see my cursor where ISRO and India is written, and this is the second stage. Okay, the liquid stage, and this is the third stage, the cryogenic stage. Okay, so the word cryogenic itself says that extreme cold or icy generated conditions. Okay, cryo means like extremely cold or icy cold. Genic means generated, like conditions. Okay, so there, when the rocket goes into the space nearby the space area, we know that the temperature will be rising very low. I mean, it will down, okay, to around like -5 or -150 to -200 degrees Celsius. Okay, so at that time, our main engines, our normal engines will not work. Okay, so at this stage, we'll be using a cryogenic engine. Okay, so where we will be, turning the fuels into cryogenic fuels, and then that fuels will be used in that, okay, in that particular engine. And here, you might be thinking again, like how we, have got this achievement successful. Yes, we only have the limit of around 4,000, but we have carried around 4,410 kgs of payload. Yes, so that's help of this, with the help of this cryogenic engine only. Okay, so what it did is like we have added some extra power to that. Okay, by which, I mean, after modifying that particular engine, it successfully helped to move a little bit long distance. Okay, even though we have not reached to the height of 36,000, okay, but it went near to the 36,000 and we have deployed successfully there. Okay, and it is successful. Yes, so this particular engine helped here more to reach to cover the more distance. Okay, so we have made some modifications in that by which it helped us to move to the higher heights. Okay, and if you look into the fuel, okay, major fuel in that, that is the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. Okay, hydrogen will be the fuel and oxygen will be the oxidizer. Okay, again the same thing. In the space, we don't have oxygen to burn something, so we will be carrying our own oxygen. There will be two tanks, separated tanks, one with the oxygen tank and one with the hydrogen tank, and there will be combustion chamber. Both the tanks will be having two pumps and valves, okay, by which they will pump the oxygen and fuel into a chamber and they will burn there and they will release that. Okay, so that's how it will be taking off. Okay, yeah. So these are the three parts. Okay, the stage one, stage two, and stage three of this Bahubali rocket. Okay, yeah. And if you compare each stage, okay, and its dimensions, okay, the length of the stage one is around 26 meters of height, okay, and the core stage, the liquid stage, the middle one, okay, this one, if you see, okay, this is of around 21 meters of height, and the upper stage, it is of 13 meters of height. And the diameter, if you see, this is of 3 meters of diameter, and this is of 4 meters of diameter, and same 4 meters of diameter. Okay, and propellant is solid, these two are solid, and liquid. Okay, in liquid also we have UH25 here, and one is N2O4 here. Okay, and in cryogenic we have both liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen here. Okay, and if you see the propellant in tons, and if you multiply with that 1,000, you will get into the kgs. Okay, 1 ton equal to 1,000 kgs. So 204 tons. See the propellant. 115 tons and 26 tons. Yes. So it is again a heavy weight for them to. And if you look into the complete structure, okay, the vehicle height is almost 43.5 meters from the starting to the ending height. And the complete weight, the lift off weight means the complete weight, which is almost equal to 642 tons. Yes, so you'll be carrying a complete weight of, that means it includes all the parts, all the fuels in that, all the tanks, all the equipment with including the payload and everything. It is carrying around 642 tons. Okay, and it is about to put the particular spacecraft, I mean the satellite, into the GTO. Okay, so it's a like a geostationary transfer orbit. Okay, yeah. And these are the apogee and perigee. I think so. You all know it. And it's the inclination. Okay, it is a inclined orbit. I will also show you how it is inclined. Okay, and how it is being transferred at the perigee. Okay, perigee is the closest, point from the center of that particular eclipse, and apogee is the farthest point. Okay, so we will be leaving it at the closest point. Okay, and launch azimuth is again an angle at which angle we are deploying it. Okay, and if you look into the timeline, okay, so here it's a beautiful timeline. It is also visible here, in which at the time zero, okay, we'll be starting the first S200 solid boosters. We'll be igniting that. Okay, and L110, the liquid stage will be a little running. Okay, it will be starting at that particular time because we'll be doing it for only 2 minutes. Okay, the lift of the solid boosters will be working within 2 minutes. So just imagine within 2 minutes, they are going to burn around 204 tons of fuel. Yes. So how much thrust is going to produce? It's a very high thrust. Yes. And then after we'll be basically separating the S200 boosters. Okay. And this L11, I mean L110 stage will be completely taking the control of that particular rocket. Okay. And after 5 minutes, the L110 liquid stage will also get separated and it will fall down. Okay. And exactly after 5 minutes, just imagine that all the liquid stage and solid stage is done. Okay. And they will also get separated and they will be leaving the rocket. Bye bye. Bye bye to the rocket. And then the complete cryogenic stage and the upper part where the payload is there, that will be moving to the desired destination. Okay. And after 16 minutes, the satellite injection, okay, I mean the CMS-3, the satellite, that separates into a precise geostationary transfer orbit. Okay, so now that satellite will be put into a orbit after 16 minutes. So it's not a work of days, it's a work of minutes. Yeah, so within minutes, okay, in front of our eyes, yeah, so everything will be running on. Yeah, so they will be monitoring it, they will be navigating it, they will be checking the errors, and everything will be monitored by the specialized, I mean, scientists of the ISRO. Okay, and if you look the specific timings of each stage, okay, so in stage one, where the S200 ignition is going on, like two boosters will be there. Okay, you can see these two boosters here, booster one and booster two. Okay, they will be igniting, and at that time you can see here this nozzle, the middle one, which is not producing the thrust. Yes, you can see some fire in that, but it is not majorly on. Okay, for this one. Yes. So these two will be producing thrust for taking an altitude of almost 0.02 24 kilometers only, almost 200 meters like so. Okay. And here the velocity at that time it will be almost 0.4 kilometer per second. Okay. And then we'll be going for at 106 seconds. After 106 seconds, the L11 ignition will be going on, and it will be after the 41 kilometer of what you say altitude. Okay, it will be starting here, and the velocity will be almost 1.7 kilometer per second. Okay, it's not kilometer per hour, it is kilometer per second. In 1 second, 1.7 kilometers will be traveling. Okay, and then after we'll be having separation of this one. Okay, once it started, then only we'll get separate. Okay, we'll separate this one, and this separation will happen at 62 kilometer of height. Okay, and there is a PLF separation also again at the 110 kilometer of height. Okay, and by that time we'll be having only 196, almost 200 seconds of time. Okay, within 200 seconds of the time, almost this solid stage completely will be separated. Okay, and by that time the rocket will be traveling with a speed of 2.6 kilometer per second. And then will be going with the L110 separation after 304 seconds. Okay, at an altitude of 116 kilometers. You can see here. Okay, L110 is ignited here. Once it is ignited, it is separated. The S200 is separated here. Okay, and then the PLF separation. Okay, the shields which are protecting the satellite here. Okay, they will be separated because why we hold these sheets here, because it need to travel through the thicker layers of the atmosphere. At that time, it need to protect the satellite from the drag and the friction. Okay, but when you enter into a particular height after crossing like 100 and 100 kilometers. So there is no atmosphere, completely space. So at that time, there's nothing like that will be creating some drag or some kind of heat or some kind of friction on that. So like there is nothing. So it can be safe without that. So when you release that, some kind of extra weight is released. So it will be more efficient for the rocket. So that's why we'll be releasing that too. Okay. Then after the C-25, the cryogenic stage will be ignited at the 168 kilometer of the altitude, and by that time it will be traveling with a speed of 4.6 kilometer per second. And then C-25 will be shut down at 175 kilometer of altitude, and then at by that time it will be traveling with a 10 kilometer per second. And the CMS-03 separation. Okay, once it is shut down, it will also be separated at almost after shutting down, it will be just separated. Okay, at 179 kilometers. Okay, and it will be traveling with a speed of 10 kilometer per second. Okay, almost near to the equal speed of escape velocity. Okay, yeah. So this is the flight profile. You can see here how it is being separated and one shut out. Okay, and you will also notice that. Okay, once the next part is going to start. Okay, we'll start it first, and the previous part will be leaving off. Okay, yeah. So coming to the next thing. Okay, now looking to the orbits. Okay, so there's a difference between the GTO and GEO. Okay, yeah. So basically, the rocket's job is to drop the satellite at the GTO. Okay, the GTO stop, which is inclined one. Okay, this inclined, the geosynchronous orbit. Can you see this one? Yes. So this inclined orbit, it will be dropping it a particular height. Okay. So at that time, okay, can you see they will be meeting the other orbit. One orbit will be meeting the other orbit. Okay. So at that meeting point, it will be dropping. Okay. So then there's a process called orbit rising. Okay. So using that orbit rising, it will be going to its home. Like for example, suppose the GTO stopping at the bus stop and the satellite has to travel the rest of the way to its home by its own. That is traveling like the bus stop. Okay, suppose you are going to your home, okay, from another city. Okay, you travel by the bus and the bus dropped you at the bus stop. And from that bus stop, you have to go to the home, right? Again, you'll go by walk. Okay, so this walking distance is nothing but the orbit rising. Okay, so the small distance which is to be covered, the satellite will cover by its own thruster and its own capacity. Okay, yeah. So the satellite majorly uses its own engine. Okay, to move from its elliptical orbit transfer, I mean orbit to the final orbit. Okay, this one, the GEO. Okay, it's the geostationary Earth orbit. Okay, this is the geostationary Earth orbit, and GTO is the geosynchronous transfer orbit. Okay, so this geostationary Earth orbit will be at a distance of 36,000 kilometers. Okay, so we need to keep that satellite in that particular height. Okay, yeah. So again, looking into the mass of that satellite and looking into some of the onboard, you know, the electronics inside that. Okay, the mass of the satellite is almost 4,400 kg. It's a huge achievement again, telling you that the capacity previously was only 4,000 kg that we carried. Okay, but now we have successfully carried, heavier satellite, and in history, okay, we made the history that this is the first time we have carried this much high weight satellite into the GEO. Okay, and the orbit is the GEO, geostationary orbit. Okay, and the mission life is around 15 years. And what is the purpose of these satellites? Okay, so now comes like, okay, okay, Captain, like we did all these things, but what is the purpose of this? Yeah, so its purpose is to communicate. Okay, it's a communication satellite. So in that, it will be having multi-band transponders. Okay, it have spectacular C band, and extended C band and KU bands also. Okay, so these are different type of bands which will be used for different type of communications. So it is carrying different type of bands. Okay, like different type of transponders actually. Okay, different type of transponders it will be carrying to the space, by which it is helping our nation to communicate from one part to other part. Okay, and we also have two large solar arrays and batteries also on that. Okay, so the solar panels will be collecting the sun's energy and it will be converting into the electricity, and electricity will be stored in the batteries, and that batteries will be supplying power to the electronics inside that particular satellite. Okay, so that's how it will be working. Okay, so this is the particular thruster. You can see that thruster also. Okay, so this is which very helpful for it. Okay, in the outer space almost. Okay, where you can see the cryogenic stage. I mean, okay, yeah. So yeah, so now coming into the applications, the main mission applications. Okay, so the first one is that fleet connectivity. Okay, so it is very help. It will be very helpful for the Indian Navy. Okay, to secure high-speed voice, data, and video links for the Indian Navy warships and the submarines. Okay, basically for that. Okay, and the second thing is that aerial awareness. Okay, in Navy also we have flying. Okay, in which this satellite will be connecting naval aircraft and drones back to the command centers. Okay, so we'll be establishing a communication center in the space directly. Okay, where our naval drones and naval aircraft will be communicating safely to the command centers which are in like in inside the India. Okay, like Navy will also work in Indian waters, right? We will go into the Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean, and Arabian Sea. Okay, that okay satellite to establish a connection between that. Again, network centric because of this thing. Okay, now we will be having good command up to certain particular area after the border. Okay, I have international border also. Okay, and the next thing is that the strategic autonomy. Okay, yeah. So here, how it is going to impact India is that we are no longer using any foreign agencies to launch our heavy satellites. Okay, it's truly Atmanirbhar. Okay, it's truly Atmanirbhar Bharat, where we have successfully made, manufactured, I mean, successfully designed, okay, successfully manufactured and successfully launched our own satellite. I mean, using our own particular launch vehicle. Okay, so this is a very, very big milestone and very big achievement for India. Okay, so this not only proves that we are capable of launching these communication satellites, it also proves that in the upcoming missions, okay, the important missions like the Gaganyaan, okay, the Bharatiya Antariksha Station, okay, like so we are having a own space station, like so we have the ISS, right? Yeah. So in the same way, we will be using these kind of things like to carry such kind of heavy weights, heavy payloads. Okay, this will also be useful in the future missions. Okay, so whatever the technology, whatever the achievement that we had now, okay, will be the experience for the upcoming missions. Okay, it's a strong statement from the ISRO that we can also launch this thing and we will also launch further some more missions. Okay, like we will be doing everything indigenously. Okay, so it's a very powerful statement, the Atmanirbhar Bharat, not depending on any other countries. Okay, and this will also be helpful for the civilian users also. Okay, like the DHT broadcasting and the networks for the ATM and internet services too. Okay, so now may our internet connection will be going a little faster. Okay, and will also be little helpful in the disaster management too. Okay, where it will be providing good communication for the rescue teams. Okay, when ground networks are down. So because of weather management, I mean, because of the disaster, sometimes what happens is that the ground network will be down. Okay, because of high cyclone or high rainfalls or high wind conditions, we may not receive some signals at that time, particular time. So at that time, these particular satellites will be helping to carry on. Okay, yeah. So these are the things. So now I have a beautiful video, which is about the launch of the beautiful heavy satellite into the space. So I hope you are very excited to watch this one. Okay, I really love this video. Okay, it was a very wonderful video. So please watch it, and you can share your excitement after watching this one in the chat box. Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. S200 motors ignited. Plus 5 seconds.
P1 tracking.
Lift off normal.
P2 tracking.
Plus 15 seconds. S200 motors separated.
You can see how the S200 motors are separated, and PLM sheet how it is separated, and the satellite separation. Okay, and it is successfully accomplished. Yes. Yeah, so this is all about the mission. Okay, the hard work of the beautiful scientists of the ISRO. Okay, which have proven and we successfully had our mission done. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I hope the session was quite clear in clearing your queries about the recent mission that we had, okay, which proved that our country is also capable of launching but particular beautiful missions. Yes, and it is not only a achievement; it's a statement that we can also launch such kind of heavy payloads in the future in the upcoming missions like the Gaganyaan or the space station, India's own space station. Okay, so this is how we worked, and I really salute the scientists of the ISRO who work 24/7 behind this project, and they showed what they are capable of. Okay, so it's not only them. Okay, so in after some period of time, it will be you. Okay, the people who are watching this. Okay, yeah. So the time changes, and you will be holding some positions. Okay, so to hold that position, you have to start working from now. Yes, so you have to give yourself the time for preparing that thing, and you should show that how good you are and how special you are from the normal child. Yes, and the things which are required to be gained continuously, the knowledge and the confidence comes from the knowledge, and apart from that, your health and your mentality. Okay, so that these are the things which will bring you to that particular position. Okay, yeah. So that's all for today. And I hope you are very, what you say is that excited for this mission. Okay, to get to know about that. I think so you have satisfied after getting to know about these details. Okay, yeah. If you are having any particular queries, you can post it in the chat box and we can stop it here now. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We are going to end it.